Hey everyone, and welcome back to another amazing episode of the hashtag I Made My Mark podcast series. Today we have a super special guest and a close friend of mine, Jasmin Barrios. So, Jasmin, welcome to the show.
Hello, Dusty. Thank you so much for having me. I
Of
feel so honored.
oh, it's all an honor to have you on the show. Are you kidding?
Oh, stop.
All right, so to get us started, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So, like Dustin mentioned, my name is Jasmin Barrios. I am a very sad senior from Stafford, Virginia. I'm a biology major. And yeah, I'm just really happy to be here. Throughout JMU, I've had a few involvements, one would say. Um, I've been a part of the Latinx Student Alliance. Am in JMU Safe Rides. I've been a student ambassador. I was a 2018 orientation peer advisor, a 2019 Frog, and of course 2019 Make Your Mark on Madison Leadership Counselor, which are all phenomenal experiences that really shaped my time.
Yeah, so for me, it sounds like you've definitely focused your efforts and involvements at JMU on whether it's like service to the community or leadership, or even just like your culture. So it's really cool to hear that you found ways to get involved in like all these different aspects.
Oh my gosh, yeah. When I came to JMU, I wasn't really looking for anything to jump into. I was just like, I just really want to make friends. And one thing led to another, and all of a sudden I just got involved, and oh my gosh, I just realized my love and passion for JMU and also for helping others. That's one aspect that it's not that I didn't have it before JMU, but it really was emphasized when I got to JMU.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. And it's super cool that you found like outlets on campus to help out.
Oh, for sure. There's so much at JMU for literally anyone.
I agree. So, having said that, um, is there anything at JMU that you wish you would have gotten involved in, but just like didn't have the time to?
Oh, rats. Oh, that's so hard. There's a million things that I wish I would have gone into. I loved to dance in high school, so I wish I would have just done something fun and spunky like that. Um, what else? In more service, I think any opportunity just to serve our community and really immerse myself in Harrisonburg rather than just JMU would have been really awesome to just see the different populations because everyone thinks that Harrisonburg is only JMU, but it's so not. It's so different. So I just wish I would have kind of thrown myself into that realm as well.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, that's like such a reality because once you get on campus and you like kind of get trapped in like the JMU bubble because it's like so real. Like JMU is literally like its own. I like to consider it like its own like city because it's literally everything that you need is within like those walls of campus. So
Yeah.
it's so hard to kind of force yourself to like break out of that JMU bubble and like get to know what Harrisonburg actually is, and not many people do it. So that's definitely an interesting take.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure you know too, like JMU, it just makes it so easy to be involved on campus that you're like, oh, if I do this on campus, then I could do this. And oh my gosh, it's so fun. I want to join this. I want to do like everything you possibly can on campus. So you're like, oh crap, like I didn't do anything off campus. So
Yeah. Like I was talking with a few of my friends and they just had so many different experiences off campus, which I would have absolutely loved to have done. But like looking back at my time, if I would have done that, like that would have like pushed me to my limit. And
mhm.
I've even like within the organization that I was a part of, I even felt pushed to my limit already on campus. So it's so hard because JMU provides so many opportunities to find your group, like find your home, find your family. But it's also important to be like, okay, I don't need to like join this extra organization. I can respect them and I can love what they do, but I just don't have the time for it.
Oh my goodness, yes. That is one thing that I wish I would have learned earlier is quality over quantity. And I think you and I can both attest to that, Dustin. I think most people would see us running from one side of campus to the other, being like, what the heck are they doing? And it's just because we were really, really involved. But I wouldn't take any experience back, but I definitely wish that I would have if I could whisper in my ear 2 years ago, I'd been like, slow down, bud. Like, you've got time. You don't have to do it all.
Yeah. All right. So we'll just jump right into the questions. So if you could describe JMU in one word, what would it be and why?
I'm going to say this, and it's so cliche, and I know it, but I would say it's home. And I know that's probably been used a million different times to describe this place, but you can't really blame us because JMU truly is. It gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling when you're walking on campus and you see your friends, or even if you see strangers, it just has that environment. And it's just this incredible place that accepts you for who you are, and it never really judges you for the mistakes that you make. And I think that's so unique about our university. I can't tell you how many times I've tripped and fell and failed time and time again, but this was still the place that I was able to go and find solace and strength when I needed it in those times. So it's very special in my heart because it's home.
That, I mean, if I had to describe JMU in one word, it would probably be something super close to home, if not home. Like, I
Mhm.
would say coming from a family that was very close, like, my family would always choose to hang out with each other than like going to hang out with our friends. Like, that's just the family environment that I grew up in and the home that I grew up in. But going somewhere 3.5 hours away from where I live and actually falling in love with the campus and falling in love with the people and it feeling like a second home. Like now, it was always, I don't know if this was something that you considered as well, but when we were like first years at JMU and we would always be like, I'm going home, like that meant going back to like where we're from. So for me, that was going back to Virginia Beach, and for you, that was going back to Stafford. Um,
Mhm.
but I don't know when, but there was this turning point where it was just like, I'm going home. And my parents
Mhm.
were like, going where? Like, you're coming here? And I was like, no, no, no. Like, I'm going back to like my apartment. Like, I'm going back to JMU,
Yeah.
going back to like where my home is right now.
Yes, and that's such a weird transition. Even in this time, I don't know how it feels for you being at home, but being at home, not JMU home. But I can't tell you how many times I've caught myself saying to my mom, like, "Oh, can I go home?" And she's like, "You are home. What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, sorry." Like, this is my childhood home, and it will forever be my childhood home. But JMU has such a piece of us that that's our home too. So weird.
It's so weird, but that's why I love that you chose that word because for us and for so many people, it is like our home. Like it's made us who we are. It's helped us develop way beyond we could have in high school. So it's just super cool.
Yeah, yeah. It's beyond my wildest dreams. I can absolutely say that.
Yeah. All right. So kind of going off of that, what does JMU mean to you?
I'm going to say a really vague answer and then I'll elaborate a little bit. But JMU is just everything. I think that I came into JMU and I was terrified. I had no idea what I was going to do. I had no idea what the next 4 years were going to encompass. And I think that one thing that I value the most that JMU gave me was my confidence. And not just confidence in general, but confidence in my capabilities and my beliefs and the person that stands in front of you today, um, virtually, of course. Um, and I don't know. I feel like it's just this great place that I tried so hard in the beginning to be this person that I thought everyone wanted me to be. And I feel like I try to shape this mold of college Jasmin. Oh, I need to do this and I need to be this and I need to believe in this and I need to act like this. But in reality, JMU just gave me the strength and the courage to be who I am and to reach my full potential. And what's so awesome about JMU is that the leaders on campus and the role models and your peers, they all surround you and they make sure that you reach your full potential. So JMU means everything to me because it gave me my courage and my confidence.
I couldn't have said it better. Like knowing you and knowing who you were, even before we formally ever met, I just like knew who you were. But from the first time I met you, like just your courage, your confidence, your charisma, your compassion, it just spoke for itself. And I remember the first time we actually interacted was in that interview together. So we were in a group interview. Um, but just and to give everyone listening just like a little background, me and Jasmine were in a group interview for an organization that we were trying to join, and then we were paired up and we had to do like a skit about something. I don't even remember what.
Like being a first year and like the transition, like how you would speak for the transition, because it was for orientation. So it was like a scenario a difficult scenario, I guess, that you had to talk with your parents about or something like that.
And
And
I was Jasmine's dad in the mistake that we did, and I just called her Jazzy B, and just like that little thing, like first off, her dad actually calls her Jazzy B, um, but even without knowing that, like Jasmine's the type of person who just like laughed so much and was like so genuinely herself that you felt like you could literally do anything. Like you could be yourself, you could be authentic, you could just like say whatever you wanted and she would roll with it. Like she rolled with the punches and just like her laugh and her charisma. And I know I've said that like 10 times already, but the fact that JMU gave you that in such a short period of time, because when did I meet you? Like sophomore year?
yeah, sophomore year.
Like you already were the most confident, the most compassionate, the kindest person that I had ever met.
Oh, Dustin, you're so, Dustin is like the king of selling himself short too. He is just so incredible in every way. And one of my favorite experiences with you is Dustin has this really great talent for reading people. And we were in his car after a training day during the summer or something, and he's like, I'm gonna read you. And I was like, oh God, what? And he just like laid out all of the things that you think, and that just shows how really introspective Dustin is and how much he cares to reach inside someone else's heart and pull out their perspective and kind of sit in their stuff with them and be like, wow, like I see where you are and I'm going to do everything that I can to help you become that person. And that's what you've been for me. So, and for so many others, I mean, you're freaking Mr. Madison, Dustin. So I appreciate your gush, but I'm just going to gush right back.
Mm-hmm. All right. The Gush Fest is over. Okay. So given the current situation and classes being moved online and just like kind of like our senior year ending super soon, how are you coping with everything?
Yeah, well, it's been absolutely heartbreaking, I think. When the decision came out, I was actually on an ASB in Candylands, Utah, doing service for a week. We were camping, so we didn't have any Wi-Fi. So I was with a bunch of JMU students, and we were having the time of our life. And it just so happened that the day that the decision came out, that Wednesday, we had gone into town to get firewood. And oh my gosh, all of us just kind of looked at each other and we were like, what do we do now? And it was just like horrible sinking feeling in my heart. And I was like, no, but honestly, I've just been trying to focus on the positives because my last JMU experience that I had, I was in freaking Utah doing service for the university that I love so much and spreading so much joy and spreading the love that JMU has given me to an entire community. So I've just been trying to reflect back on my last 4 years and just really appreciate what we have and all that we still have to look forward to because this isn't the end. It's just goodbye for now, you know?
I completely agree. And I feel like a lot of people are like looking at it like, oh, well, I don't get to do this. Like, I don't get to graduate on time. I don't get to um, do a campus crawl with my friends. Like, I don't get to say goodbye. I don't get to do pass downs in person. Like, there are so many negatives that people dwell on and so many things that like are truly like outside of our control that
Mm-hmm.
we will, and I know I don't mean for this to sound abrasive, but like we will get through it. Like
Yeah.
sounds are something that can happen later or virtually, or you can mail them to people with a note. Like there's so many things that Jamie has given us that when you actually stop and like think about it, they mean so much more than these last like 3 months. And as much as I would love to still be in my apartment and love like hanging out with my friends as we have what 2 weeks until we formally like get our diplomas, like that's
I know.
but
Mine.
it's just like so weird to think about that. I don't know. It's just weird. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, no, I totally see where you're coming from. I think, and it's so easy to fall into that pit. I know when it happened, I was so sad. My mom was like, I know it sucks, but you just got to keep on moving forward. And I was like, what do you mean move forward? This is my life right now. It was just so hard. But then when you stop and think about it, it's like, yes, you don't get to sit in your last class and you don't get to say goodbye to your friends the way you wanted to. But JMU gave you those opportunities to even have that, wow, I can't do this, you know? So I just feel so fortunate that I am so passionate about a university that I feel all these feelings that I won't get to have. But at the same time, I'm so grateful that I get to have those feelings because of all that it's given me. So it's a double-edged sword, but at the same time, we're so fortunate. We're still living, breathing, healthy. That's all we could ask for.
And the really cool thing is like the relationships we made at JMU, like you know that they're not gonna like end because of this.
Exactly. Hmm. I
Like
feel like so many people think that like their friends are going to go away, and yes, some people are moving to different states or out of the country, whatever, but it's not going to end. You know, these bonds were made. There's a reason why we love our friends so much. It's because those bonds are rock solid.
exactly. And like this sucks, but guess what? It'll make homecoming next year that much better. And it'll make
Yeah.
like group hangouts and eventually like it may not be the case for everyone, but the day I get married or the day I like say yes to the person that I'm supposed to spend the rest of my life with, like my JMU friends will show up for me and they'll like be there. Like these aren't friendships that are gonna end the day that I get my diploma or the day we got that email. Like these are relationships that I will carry into the rest of my life. And the cool thing about this is that we have to be even more intentional about just like having those relationships. Like yes, we didn't get to spend the last 3 months with each other, but if our relationship makes it through this 3 months of quarantine or however long quarantine will end up being, like
Hmm.
that means that these people are meant to be in the rest of my life.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's not that like we're blind to all the sad things that are happening. No, it's just we just choose to appreciate what we have, and that's all we could ask for. I mean, that's all that we can do.
Exactly. Ugh. It does not to say that we forget about everything. Like you said, we're not blind to everything. We just choose to see all the good that can come out of it.
Yes. Yes.
Cool.
I agree.
All right. So, kind of, we've gotten to the point of the podcast where we reflect really back on all of your time. And this is like the piece of the podcast where you get to give the wonderful Jazzy B advice. So,
Oh.
if you could give any advice to underclassmen, given the recent circumstances, what would it be and why?
Yeah. I'll try to shed the little wisdom that I like to think I have in my old age. But I just want to say that, I don't know, despite all that's happened, how no matter how many years you have left at JMU, just be grateful that you have them. And even though, let's say you have like 3 years left, yes, that's so much time, but also recognize that that's also so little time. So just appreciate this place as much as you can, as hard as you can. Love it with just as much conviction as JMU loves you back, because it does, and it'll do everything to prove that to you if you let it. I think that when online classes started, I kind of was kicking myself in the beginning because as a graduating senior, Dustin, you could attest to this. As a graduating senior, being super involved and having a full course load, that's just enough for anyone. But also having to bear the weight of your future as well, making all those decisions. That was so stressful. And I think before all this happened, that's all I was stressing about. I was like, oh, I just have to get through these last few weeks. I need to get through these last exams. I need to submit these last grad school applications. And then after spring break, I'll be able to make all those lunch dates that I wanted. I'll be able to visit my first years again. I'll be able to do everything that I wanted to do, and look at where I am now. And that just sucks, because I just wish I would have taken that time to appreciate the moments while they were coming, rather than checking off this entire checklist of, oh, I need to do this, all this before I can appreciate the place that I've called home. So after thinking of that, I just really hope that you all will focus on the things that don't stress you out. And if you do have to stress out about that, that's fine. Just make sure that you are making those inevitable bad moments in your experience into those great days, because at the end of the day, those great days are what's going to be in your memory, not those bad moments. And your time is just so, so precious. It really is. And don't count on a pandemic to drag you out of that stress-induced trance that I was in, because that sucked. So just really appreciate your friends.
I couldn't have said it better, but I would say that for me, since, and I don't know if this is the same for you, but I was living in the moment so much last semester and just like enjoying my friends so much and just like almost sort of forgetting about the future that lies past like May, that
Mhm.
it kind of just like built. And I think that's what made it so stressful. Like me realizing in January and February that, like, listen, my future isn't going to be determined like after I graduate. Like, I had to do that now.
Yeah.
Like, this is my last chance to like boost that GPA, whether it's getting me into grad school or like going to be that GPA put on my resume. Like, this is the last chance. And so I feel like you said it perfectly. Like, as underclassmen, it's important to not stress that much about what your future plans are, but just like start thinking about it. That way, when it gets to this point of senior year, you don't feel as overwhelmed and you
Mhm.
have like a strong footing and like you can spend those last moments with your friends because, like you said, like we can get so caught up in schoolwork and organizations and involvements to where we don't really have time for those coffee dates, or like people are like, okay, when can you get lunch? And you check your schedule and you're like, okay, I'm free in 3 weeks. Like no one's gonna want to get lunch with you in 3 weeks just because that's when you're free, you know?
Yeah, yeah. That's just so hard. You said it perfectly. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I'd be like, oh, yeah, I'll pencil you in on this random Sunday in 2 months. So sorry. I'm just really stressed out. But it just shouldn't be like that, you know? And oh my gosh, that's the one thing that I don't have many regrets, but that is one thing that I will say I will look back on and have a mini regret on.
Yeah. And I think what we're both trying to get at too is just like say yes to the random adventures in
Mhm.
college.
Yes, go to the last late night breakfast. Don't save it for the last month of school. Just do everything that you want to do. Freaking run those 3 miles through campus just because you want to look at the pretty sky. Like, do whatever you need to. Take a study break. It's okay. You'll be studying or working or doing whatever it is that you're doing for the rest of your life, but you only have one JMU.
Yeah. And that is in itself like what being a Duke is. Like being there for your friends, going to that last late night breakfast, making a weird sheets run, whether you're first year and you're like walking the sheets or like whether you're just like going because you just need to be out of the library. Like just
Mm-hmm.
do what you will make memories doing.
Exactly. Well, one thing that I learned, I think I've shared this with a few people, is when we were doing orientation, I really reflected on that experience. And ever since then, I was like, you know what? I need to start finding the things that really make me recognize my blissful moments. And I think bliss is so hard to chase, and you just have to really work for it. But it also is one thing that you have to realize, like, if you aren't blissful so many times in a specific day or week, then you aren't doing something right. So you need to really reevaluate that. And that's the hard part. It's so easy to get caught up in school, and school's never going to be easy, but you could still find those blissful moments between those stressors. So just like focusing on that and chasing that bliss is so important to me now. So
Yeah. And like you like you were saying, like if you're doing things that don't make you blissful, that you can cut out of your life, just
mhm.
do it because
Yeah,
it's more important to do things that make you happy and do things that give you joy and do things that give you bliss than checking something off a box like, oh yeah, I went to this meeting, or oh yeah, I hung out with this friend group who's like not making me happy. Like if things aren't making you happy, college especially is the time to be like, okay, this is who I want to be, this is what I want to do, and go after it. Like people aren't going to fault you for becoming your best, most authentic, ideal self.
exactly. Exactly. And we put so much emphasis on what other people think of us. And I think that's so hard to break out of, especially we're at a young age, you know, we're in a society that cares about what you do or that judges a lot. And I think one great thing about our university is you could break those barriers if you let yourself do that. And you have people to pick you up and to support that if you let them in. So just be yourself and do what you want to do, because you're you are the writer of your own history. So do whatever you need to do. Who cares what anyone else thinks? It's your life.
Amen. Amen. All right. Last question, hardest question, deepest question. What do you think is the most important mark you have made on campus, and what do you think your legacy will be?
Oh boy. That is such a hard question. I I think that I hope what the most important mark that I've made on campus is my work with students just in general, whether that be through orientation or incoming students with incoming students through orientation or with prospective students and ambassadors, or even with students who are struggling to find their place or just wanted to feel that home experience through my mom. I really hope that I was able to help people. I love this university, and if I could just make one student's experience that much better, then I could go to bed, sleep soundly that night. And I really hope that that's the mark that I've made on this campus. And I hope that people think back on me and are like, wow, like she was really a great friend to me, and she was always there for me, and she loved JMU, you know?
Yeah. And the fact that that is what you want your legacy to be and that's what you want your mark to be, like, I know you may not know this, but like you have completely superseded that and you have made marks on so many people's hearts and just like people's experiences at JMU. Just if you were to have given me a tour 4 years ago and you were the student ambassador who was walking me around, like there would be no doubt in my mind that JMU would be the place where I wanted to call home. And that's just like who you are. Like whether you were an OPA, whether you were a leadership counselor for my mom, whether you were the tour guide, like you have impacted so many lives. And I know you know what like lollipop moments are. And
Mm-hmm.
I just think that you are the definition of lollipop moments. Like you stopping someone randomly and just like complimenting them, or you just like giving someone a hug who really needed it, or just your smile. Like you have done so much to this campus to where I just want you to know that your mark will be felt for at least the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Uh, Dustin, Dustin always does this to me, man. He always says these things. I know how to respond because they're so sweet, and I can't tell you. I think Dustin has seen me in those moments where I'm like, he's definitely been one of the people to pick me up when I'm like, I feel like I'm not doing anything right, and I have no idea what I mean to this university, or in those moments of failure, I guess, when I was really hard on myself. And that just means the most to me, Dustin, because you are that person too. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that like you've just been that person to uplift so many others. um and I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for Jamie for giving me you and your friendship and for all the opportunities, and you're incredible.
You're more incredible, and I'm super thankful for you, and super thankful that you decided to share your experience. Like, I know that there have been like, if you've been like a steady podcast listener, there have been quite a few podcasts, but all of these seniors have chosen to see the bright side of the current situation and like just see everything that JMU has done for them and see how JMU is their home and just like have wanted to share their experience. And Jasmine, you are no different. Like the people who are listening to this podcast will hopefully be inspired to just be their true authentic selves and just to find their place on campus. Like you, if anyone were to be the icon of just like authenticity and just like knowing who you are as an individual, like it's you. So I just want everyone to know that if you don't know Jasmin Barrios, then your JMU experience isn't worse off, but it definitely would have been better off by knowing her. So moving on from Gush Fest Part 2, do you have any last minute pieces of advice, last minute nuggets of wisdom?
Um, my last thing that I will say is, even if you feel like you haven't made your mark, or if you feel like you're just one of them, like just one person in the masses, just recognize that you are so much more, and you are so important to JMU. Each and every single one of you make up this great conglomerate of people, of happiness, of joy, of bliss. And I am so fortunate to have been a part of that, whether I knew you or not. Thank you for making JMU what it is. And you matter, and you are so capable of whatever it is that you set out to do in life. And I hope that you conquer your fear and just make the most out of the rest of your experience at JMU, because it truly is so special.
Yeah, it honestly, for the both of us, I think I can speak very confidently when I say that JMU has been the best thing that has happened to either of us in our development, in our life, in our future. So super thankful JMU brought us together, super thankful for our friendship, and just super thankful that you have made such a big mark on JMU as I know that you have. So thanks, Jasmin, for being on the show. Jazzy B forever.
Love you, Dusty. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, y'all. So that's all we have for you for this podcast, but be sure to tune in for the next one. Thanks.
Leave something to remember.